Lovely.
You guys look sharp.
Thank you.
I love
you.
that. I love that.
Well, I'm Dom, and this is
I'm Conor.
Connor.
And I was thinking Domus family, so when I was dressing this morning.
Perfect. You have to excuse the puns. There may be quite a few.
Yeah,
I love it. We're all about it. We're both dads. We speak in pun.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm usually guilty of a few million puns per
A
episode.
few dad jokes for sure.
Fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, welcome to London. Massive congratulations. We were at the multimedia screening yesterday. It was an absolute riot.
Right.
Everyone
Good.
was having an amazing time.
Love hearing that.
Yes.
Laughs, engagement, drama, quite heartfelt.
All the
as well, I
things.
thought.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what we're hoping, that
Yeah.
the heartfelt stuff comes through.
Yeah, I think it really does, and we'll sort of cover that a little bit later. But I mean, first of all, just going into making this as a sequel. Sequels are really hard to get right. You've got to do enough of the first film to keep people happy that enjoyed that, but you've also got to create something that feels original. Can we sort of start off with that and like how that sort of that process began?
I feel like that was our big thing stepping into this was, how do we service the first movie but not be beholden to it and make sure that this stands on its own? And I mean, the bar we set for ourselves was that you have to be able to watch both these movies side by side and not feel like a quality drop and feel like they deserve to be in the same world. And our comps for it were Aliens and Terminator 2. Those were the ones we kept going to, not in terms of like how they did the story, but just in terms of how the kind of
Elevate the first.
the genre
themes.
changes a little bit. You get deeper mythology, deeper character work. And so we really took those to heart and tried to make something here that would do all of the stuff that you want, but not in a way maybe that you would expect, so that it would feel different and feel fresh. And then the stuff that was going to be the same, like the hide and seek is the same. Let's lean into the fun of that and just be like, you're doing the same fucking thing again. Move on, And so it was a balancing act the entire time to try to get that right.
There was also, I mean, I feel like we are living in a time when movies where there's so many franchises and so many sequels, and I think that audiences are just, I think, primed for that, and in positive and negative ways. I think that there's like people who really love those franchises are always going to show up, but I think there's also some fatigue around sequels. And so going into that, like just on a meta level, understanding like, oh, we have to challenge ourselves and push ourselves to make something more audacious and weirder than we might have even
For
6 years ago,
Oh, totally.
when the first one had released.
I mean, just sort of going on to those two sequels you mentioned, Terminator. I mean, Aliens. Like they're my two films where I actually enjoyed the sequel more.
Yeah,
They're
both
so
perfect
good,
movies.
so
They're both perfect.
And
say
by the
all
way,
four of
they're
those
all
are
four,
perfect
and
movies.
the
I mean,
two.
yeah. Well, I mean, just quickly before we get onto some of the nitty gritty bits of like how to make the film, that central heartfelt storyline between the sisters, like, can you maybe just expand a little bit on that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we also knew we wanted to port over was those real earnest emotional moments that I think people responded to in the first movie. And within all of the sort of wackiness and all of the heightened genre elements, like there's a real heart, there's something really genuine at work. We wanted to bring that, port that idea over to this, but we didn't want it to just be Grace running and surviving on her own. Mm-hmm. That worked very, very well and was very successful in the first movie. And we always knew there had to be a character that was sharing the experience with her, that was sort of entering the world of the story new, the way that Grace was entering the world of the story in the first one, right? This our sort of point of view, our newcomer, our eyes and our ears entering this kind of crazy fucked up situation. And we had gone down a few paths with that relationship. It was a friend from her past for a minute. It was a police officer for a minute. It was the daughter of one of the families for a minute. And when we met Kathryn and worked with her and thought, holy shit, that she just would pair chemistry-wise so beautifully with Samara, that became our pitch for what the central relationship could be. And when that solidified, it's so interesting how everything, all of the sort of family dynamics within the movie kind of unlocked and amplified in a really specific way. Like Titus and Ursula suddenly became more interesting foil and mirror to the to our hero siblings. And
it was a thematic unlock.
And it's funny how it sometimes takes a minute to arrive at the right idea, and when you do, you immediately go, oh, I can't imagine it being anything but that now. But
once we were able
to discover it,
there's a darkness and anti-love story in the first movie, right? And once that happened, we were like, oh, this is like a love story. We're telling a love story here. Let's lean into that. And I think it really helped us just kind of see the movie as a whole emotionally,
and see the two movies side by side as it's a two-part. We've been talking so much about how it's really just one movie in so many ways, with Grace walking out of the mansion is the midpoint of this larger story about family and love. And
Is this something you planned from the start when you were writing or working on the first one? Did you think we're going to leave it open to the sequel, or is this something you've had to then go, right, where did we leave it? And can we reverse engineer something and use the parts that we've already laid out and make something new and special?
It was definitely not something we ever had in mind. I don't
Zero premeditation.
Yeah, this was a let's kill everybody but Samara, but Grace, and it was born out of the desire to get the group back together and to do a thing. But there was a nugget at the end of the first script that the guys wrote that introduced this idea of a bunch of other families who all had made the same deal with the devil, essentially. And so that kind of joke ending that we couldn't afford to shoot, so it just disappeared, was the foundation and the world building, the grain of salt that we needed for this. And so in some ways it was present, but not in a way I think we ever thought we'd actually do.
Makes sense. And I had one more practical question, because our audience are mostly filmmakers, so they're very interested in like the craft and what goes on behind the scenes as well. So as you're a duo, we don't often have many directing duos on the podcast. What is that dynamic like? How do you work together? Does one person take on more of a lead in certain areas? How do you handle creative differences?
I mean, I don't know how we wouldn't do it the way that we do it. And I think part of that is, and we have many friends who direct solo. It's such an undertaking in making anything, regardless of scale. It's, the collection of a million choices and pressure over time and all of those things that, it's very anxiety producing, right? There's a lot riding on it. A lot of people are looking to you for answers. And I think the thing that we've really found is approaching the process as a collaborative duo means that we're always able to rattle test the movie, the ideas, the characters with someone who is as intimately involved and cares as much as you do, and knows all of the challenges and all of the opportunities that exist in an idea. Usually that is with, or that responsibility rests on one person. And it's so great to be in a constant state of dialogue about a thing. Instead of people coming up to you expecting answers, they come up to us and they're part of a conversation. They're part of a dialogue about how to make something as good as it can be. And that's a process that has evolved over 18 years with us. And I think it's really the nucleus of how we run everything on set, right? We are as ego-free as you could imagine. Like we're never interested in being right. We're only interested in doing what's right for the story and for the movie.
Right. And just talking about the sort of beginnings and endings, because we lightly touched on that here. The intro sort of shot, it's like a bit of a one-er, is very, very deliberate. It's very assured. I mean, it does two things. It is very focused from a sort of visual perspective. It shows off some incredible acting from like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, what an amazing performance. Just how do you approach, the intros and the endings of films? Because I feel like that's a bit that shifts quite a lot. You get the sort of second act, you get the third act. You know roughly where it's going to start, but how, in terms of this one, like how it starts and ends, how is that sort of signposted in the writing process and how you sort of develop things?
The beginning and the end of this movie were in flux a lot throughout it. The ideas were present from the very beginning. We're going to start right where we left off, and then once we had Kat as Faith is another character, the sisters are going to walk off together at the end. Those ideas were present, but there was so much discussion on how do we do this in a way that, I mean, I like that you said that it's assured. The idea of how do you just tell the audience in the first couple minutes of the movie, like, you're in good hands, just trust us. And we circled a million ideas of how to do that opening. And then one day it was Brett, our DP, who was like, we could just strap what's it called, a doggy cam or something?
Yeah, it's a snorri. But it's same. Yeah.
Yeah, and just put that on her. And then if we can merge the footage, and we're like, fuck yeah, let's just do that. Because you want to just go into the movie and literally let us hold your hand into the movie. Put a song that we love in there and let that do so much work. And then at the end, the end of the first movie is so, like, it's a joke, right? It's it's literally a one-liner. And we wanted to make sure that we weren't trying to replicate that. And so we kind of went the other way. We were like, let's go into the emotion of this. And there can still be humor, but let's go and do the thing that we love in so many. It's like Casablanca or, Last Crusade. It's like literally just watch them walk off into the sunset, and that's our end. And so we debated a million ways to do both of those things. The goal always being the same of how do you handhold the audience and walk them in, and then let them leave in a satisfying way. And I think we feel really good about where we ended up, but it was not a quick journey to get there.
And I think that the technical achievement in that first shot is really something else. It was the level of VFX work that's at work in it, the merging the final shot from the original movie. It's the same shot, untouched, with new footage. I mean,
shocking.
An actress that somehow hasn't aged in 7 years is pretty remarkable. But also, I think really the thing about that, the opening shot specifically too, I think that the hopefully there is some real tone signaling in what it is as well, that you feel. I feel like that final shot of the first movie has become something iconic and is like supercharged with that. We know that it's been memed so many times over the last 6 years, and so
the highest compliment.
Yeah. By the way, a huge compliment, but also for us was like, oh, what a cool first subversion of expectation. That this iconic thing that you remember from the first movie, you actually haven't seen all of it. What if the camera didn't cut? What if the story just continued? And hopefully that's the sort of first signaling of, oh, we're doing a sequel. You're back in the world of Ready or Not, and some things are going to feel familiar, but we're going to surprise you at every turn.
Yes. I mean, you briefly touched on the soundtrack. I absolutely love the choices that you used for this. It was so good, especially the fight scene with the DJ booth, Bonnie Tyler, absolutely incredible. Is this something that you're planning ahead of time? Is it like in the script almost, or is this something you're discovering on set, or even in the edit, we're just trying out different options?
It's both.
We've gotten pretty good about writing not specific cues, but like reasons, sometimes specific cues. We
do a pass on the script before shooting that's always, where is a place for music in the movie, like diegetic music? How can we get a radio in the corner? How can we, find a way to bring that world into the movie? It's just because we love it. And it's to talk about like the Bonnie Tyler scene, that's a perfect example of it. It was that scene was set somewhere else, and then because of budgetary reasons, we put it in.
What was it? A casino floor?
It was a casino, yeah. And then we could only use that casino that another scene happens in for like one night. So now it's in a wedding venue, and we're like, oh, that's great. There's two brides. Oh my God, it's all coming together thematically. But once you're in a wedding venue, oh, there's a DJ booth. Let's put a fucking song here. And then the funny thing is, usually what happens is we mark places for music like this, and then we try a ton of songs until something just feels right. In this movie, that opening Amy Winehouse, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, and Total Eclipse of the Heart are both songs that we actually tried in the first movie. Didn't work for various reasons. And in this, we're like, we got to try that here, and we got to try that here. So we actually went into both of those scenes knowing, ideally, that's the song we're going to use. And then we never could beat them. So they both stayed those songs the entire time. So when we were actually filming the Bonnie Tyler scene, we knew in our heart that we were hoping it would be Bonnie Tyler.
You're not eclipsed heart.
We had
I didn't warn you.
The first version of that we'd really fallen in love with, of the ending of the first movie, we'd used Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, that's where we tried it.
And so it only makes sense that we're now using it at the end of the first movie, but the beginning of the second.
Beginning of the second one, yeah. And then really quick on that same thing, we had then when we were bookending the movie with the two "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrows," that's a new song written and recorded for the movie, and it was such a big ask to be like, hey, you gotta compete with the Amy Winehouse, but it can't be the same. It's got to be a different vibe. And they just knocked it out of the park because it just lands the plane emotionally so well.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. It does really heighten the emotion. I mean, just going further on to how that implements into the tone. How do you juggle the genres like comedy, dark comedy? Obviously, this one like really leaning into the sort of sisterly drama.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely like the horror, which I feel like towards the end, especially, sort of ramps up quite a lot. But there's some pretty heavy bits in the middle where people are getting maimed and beaten up.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you balance all that? Because it is very hard to get it so that it's not tongue in cheek and it's not sort of so silly that your audience is lost or they don't buy the characters, but you're still laughing and you're still enjoying it. I think it's like very smart the way that you balanced it. But it's not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it starts from a place of wanting to treat all of those ingredients, all of those various tones, really seriously and really earnestly, while also not taking the movie itself too seriously. It's sort of hard to talk about, but or hard to maybe really define. But I think we love concepts that like on their face are wildly absurdist, right? I think if you look at our body of work, they all sort of have that in common. And then
Very
I think
silly.
within that, that sort of silly heightened reality or conceit, you then treat all of the tones that exist within it with real earnestness. So you're like not being afraid to be sentimental when it comes to these like genuine emotional moments, and not being afraid to like go hard with the genre stuff when it calls for it. And also like not being afraid for a really grounded reaction to this heightened reality to like be funny and to just be sort of naturally, because of the situation, naturally humorous. And then for us, I think so much of the job is collecting more than we know we're going to need in all of those genres. So like there's a version of the movie that could be a straight comedy. There's a version that could be like a really like mean sort of cruel horror movie. There's one that could just be a plain drama. And then it's really calibrating it in the edit.
Yeah.
And look, the script is...
Well, was the balance roughly where it was in the script in terms of like where the comedy and the horror and the drama was?
I think it's always a little more comedic.
Yeah, I think yes. I think it's always a little. I think we never approach them as comedies, and I think that's a big thing to note. Right? It's like we don't want it to be. In fact, when people, or it's advertised as like a comedy, we're like, no, it's not a comedy. Like this is like Will Ferrell's making a comedy. Then that's great, and we are not doing that. Because then it'll
the next film.
But it allows the humor to be a little more unexpected, even if you know it's coming. But it's like, I think the thing we always go to is the movies we love, like Beverly Hills Cop or Midnight Run, or
another amazing sequel.
Yeah,
Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Oh my god, the best. And those are funny fucking movies.
Die
but they're
Hard with
also
a Vengeance is one of the funniest.
Well, Die Hard is a fucking
they're like
funny movie.
Just wildly,
But yeah, it is. But finding it's always a thing. And like, again, really quick to go back to the Bonnie Tyler scene. That was a scene that we forced ourselves into a corner on, and we were like, this has to be super fun and funny and silly. And there's like, shadow boxing or whatever you call it, like blind boxing. And then also by the end, you need to be uncomfortable and go, fuck, I didn't know this movie was going to make me feel like this. And to be able to balance that is really the entire tone, like in a nutshell.
I think something you did really well, and the question I wanted to ask about your action sequences, they felt so visceral and impactful. Like sometimes you become desensitized to violence on screen, but I found myself like wincing a lot in a good way.
Great.
It felt really realistic and like I said before, visceral. How are you going about crafting these kind of scenes to make sure they're punchy?
I think so much of it is just making sure that action doesn't overstay its welcome. I think there's just so much. People are like, we see so much of it now, so much choreography, so much action, so many fights, so many, big superhero things, and they're all really wonderful. But I think for us, it's making sure that those beats are always in service of character first, and that it feels like you're watching you're watching the characters that are only in this movie very specifically fight and interact in a way that could only exist in this movie. And then on a craft level, I think, and this is just a style choice for us, we just love a handheld camera that's not afraid to be really close and up in the action. I think we're not opposed to popping wide to show things, but we hate it when it feels like, oh, we're showing you something cool that we did, instead of, no, we're showing a character having a real experience.
It's grounding it through the character so that it's not about the thing. Hopefully it's about the character reacting to the thing.
Right. Totally. And I think, and then you also, in that approach, hopefully, you get a great stunt team who's really wonderful with working with your cast, and then you get to like have your actors in there and you see their faces, and you feel the reality of it because the camera's up close with the cast, with those characters.
Just kind of in line with what some of the references earlier, like James Cameron said, action should always be led by the story, never there to, just serve as
show off action.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's talk just a little bit about the characters. How do you work with actors? How do you get great performances? I know we mentioned having conversations rather than, maybe notes so much, which is definitely like a more collaborative kind of way.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit of pressure when you're working with like very high level actors who've got a big presence. Maybe like going back slightly further in your career on that sort of side of things, but just your general process for rehearsals, getting past that and opening that communication.
We have not had a lot of time on any of our movies for a lot of like a prolonged rehearsal time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is we meet them, we just kind of get to know them. We have conversations about the story, about the character, all that stuff. We love letting them give us their version of the character. And if there needs to be a nudge left or right, great. Yeah. But like, how do you make this yours? I'm so much more excited to see that than doing whatever we have in our head. It's going to be much better if you can filter it through your own thing. And so it's as much as we can, it's allowing them to embody it. And then our job, especially on set, is to just nudge left and right throughout. And, if there's something missing, inform them and help them, but not like, we're not giving like acting lessons or anything. These guys, everybody's super talented and they know what they're doing. And so it's really like, once we're all on the same team, it does feel like a sport when we're shooting. It's really just like coaching. It's like everybody knows what they're doing. Mm. If we need to remind you of something, great, but like, you fucking got it, go for it, and we found that it's really allowed us a lot of unexpected little treasures that we find throughout, where someone feels the freedom to like take some swings and try some cool shit. And it's almost always the stuff that we love the most.
Yeah, it's watching somebody personalize a character that on the page is well drawn, but incomplete because there's
by design.
There's not a real human to bring it to life, and trusting and being willing to listen when people have good ideas. I think of Kevin all the time on Abigail, Kevin Durant, who was, that character was written as like to have a Cajun accent, and Kevin came in and was like, well, I'm Quebecois, and there's mafia in Quebec, and I would just love to use my native accent, and like it's his, and he loves it more because it's connected to his past, and it becomes personal, and it all matters. And it all matters more.
Pretty good. Any 30-second advice just to finish on? We're going to wrap up now, but just for filmmakers going forward.
Just don't be afraid to fail.
Keep making stuff.
And keep making shit, Yeah.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's one question he told me earlier that really got my goat.
Oh, yes. I don't know if this is true.
Got my goat. You did.
I don't know if this is true. I heard that in that final scene, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but obviously Samara's up there and she's commanding a lot of attention, and she tells everyone to kneel.
Yeah.
Is it true that the goat wasn't meant to
pre-pun
kneel, and it did just spontaneously? Is that true?
That is true.
Fully true.
No.
Fully true.
Fully true.
Fully true.
I
think he did it twice, right?
One of my favorite moments.
Twice.
That was like, how do they do that? How do they do that?
One of those miracle on set things where everyone behind the monitor was just like,
miracle?
Yeah.
Or demonic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I would have been out of there. I'm like, there's something going on here, man. I'm out.
It was crazy.
It made some sort of pact. It worked.
And the goat was ahead of everybody.
What's that?
The goat was ahead of everybody.
Yep.
The goat's the first one. Was like, I got
first one starts the kneel.
Wow.
Winnie.
Okay, incredible.
Winnie.